have you ever been with a company or been with an organization and you had to attend a meeting? And you got in there and the person said, what I'd like to do is I'd like to open up this meeting by reading from this book. I thought it was very encouraging. And then they spend 5 to 10 minutes reading something. And then they say, okay, let's go ahead and get into what we're going to be doing. And they don't have an agenda. They haven't prepared. They're just winging it. And you have other stuff that's more important to you than being there. And you're there for the entire hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. And the whole time you're there, you're thinking, I've got things I have to do. I'm going to have to finish them. And this is costing me time and effort and money, which I could be doing something else. Have you ever been to a meeting like that? Here's your chance. If you ever have a meeting that you're in charge of, you're the owner, here's what I want you to do. Number one, don't do a meeting unless you absolutely have to. Send out an email. Call somebody. Go and visit somebody. Don't assemble a large amount of people to come into a conference room unless there's a reason for it. You don't have to have a meeting every week or every month. If you're doing training, if you're doing some type of meeting that has a purpose other than just getting together, that's a necessary evil, but be prepared. Number two, I always want to make sure that I spend at least 3 minutes preparing for every 1 minute that I'm in the meeting. So if it's a 20-minute meeting, I want to spend at least 1 hour preparing to get ready for that. Number three, you want to make sure that you don't ever invite someone to the meeting that doesn't have a purpose for being there. If they don't have something that they have to do, if you're not going to assign them something to do, if this isn't directly affecting them, don't invite them to the meeting. If they need to be in the loop, send them an email. You can go ahead and distill your thoughts much better than if you just go ahead and have it be free, open, and freewheeling. Number four, you want to have a grouch, an enforcer that keeps people in line. If you're the meeting owner, what you want to do is you want to be able to go ahead and talk to people and have them be very comfortable opening up. What you don't want to do is also be the enforcer, because then people sort of like, oh, I don't want to go ahead and tell him anything because he'll go ahead and hit me across the knuckles. Give somebody the responsibility of being the enforcer, keeping things in line, so if someone starts talking too much, if they get off track, the enforcer gets it back on track. Don't be the enforcer and the meeting owner, otherwise people aren't going to talk, they're not going to discuss anything. Number five, you always want to be prepared and have your agenda written down. When you come in, tell people, this is why we're here. Your why is very important. This is how it relates to you, and this is what you need to do during this time. Give them a why, give them a time schedule. We're going to be here for 20 minutes. If we're here more than 20 minutes, I'm going to shoot somebody. So let's get started. Number six, be on time. If the meeting's at 2:30, if it's at 3 o'clock, and it hits 2:30, don't say, well, everybody's not here yet, we'll go ahead and wait for somebody else. If someone doesn't show up on time, start without them, unless they're the owner of the company and they could fire you for doing that. When the person comes in, unless they're the owner of the company, they could fire you, have them apologize for disrespecting everybody else's time and having them wait. You only have to do that once, and they'll never be late again. Number seven, you want to reward people for coming early, and if you have reports that need to be read, don't read them aloud in the meeting. Send them out ahead of time. If you have people that are going to present reports at the meeting, say, here's my deadline, I need them the day ahead of time. When they come in, distribute them to everybody that's going to be in the meeting. Their homework is to read those. Anybody that doesn't read the reports, guess what? They're not interested. You only want to deal with those people that are interested and give them an opportunity, but don't go ahead and have a public reading class. That's a waste of their time, it's a waste of your time. If you have to vote on whether to pass a measure, Let's go ahead and take a parliamentary vote. Who all is in favor? Aye. Any noes? No. Boom. Next item. Boom, 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 boom. You can get a lot of things done if you're prepared. If you wing it, it's not going to happen. It's not going to end quickly. It's not going to end well. Number 8, no gadgets, which means no cell phones, no smartphones, no tablets, no laptops. If somebody has to take notes, have them bring in a notebook. Not a digital notebook, a paper notebook. Have them take notes. Someone that comes to a meeting that doesn't have a notebook and paper and pen, you might want to go ahead and say, go back and get that. Every time that you have a meeting, someone should be taking notes. Everyone should be taking notes. If they feel they don't need to take notes in the meeting, they don't need to be in the meeting. If someone starts to doodle, if they start to, get them out. They're not interested in your meeting. Get them out. Number 9, you want to be short and to the point. You tell people what you're going to be doing. You want to direct this so that you're saying, you've already clocked out, you're just about to step out the door, and someone comes up and asks you a question. That's how I want you to think of these meetings. People have someplace else to go. They have something better to do. This is important, but don't waste their time. Get in, do it, get out. And finally, what you want to do is you want to give people a list of expectancies. This is what I expect you to do by the next meeting, and deliverables. This is your deadline for when you should accomplish that. And I'm going to give you follow-up notices along the way just to sort of ping you to find out how you're doing. But what I don't want to do is, I'm not your nanny. And so every person should have expectancies and they should have deliverables. If they don't have expectancies and deliverables for the next meeting, they don't need to be at the next meeting, do they? You always want to ask yourself, who needs to be at this meeting? And instead of having 20 people and having 3 people that need to do something, have a smaller meeting in your office, send out an email to everybody else to keep them in the loop. You don't need to have meetings unless you have to have meetings. And finally, when you end it, thank them and give people the opportunity by coming to these meetings to get ahead in your business. Which means if they will go ahead and take on an extra task, this is their chance to get ahead. And you're going to view them according to how they do those tasks. This is above and beyond. So if you look at their normal work week as this is what they have to do, when they're doing the meetings, this is what they're doing to go above and beyond, that's how they get ahead. When you start treating people that way, where they view the meetings as being very important because they're important to you, suddenly they will want to come to the meetings. And if they are not needed at a meeting, guess what? They're going to go ahead, and if they want to get ahead, they're going to ask, how can I go ahead and come to these meetings? You want this to be desired by invitation only, and if you're not invited, guess what? You're not all that important to this meeting, are you? When you do that, when you focus, when you give people reason and incentive for coming to your meetings, in being engaged, in volunteering to do extra work, and giving them a sense of purpose as to how this will affect them, then your meetings will start to become more interesting.